Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight was for most of the day. And anyway, thank you to all of you who have been there. You're still here, so thank you. I really appreciate you. Oops, sorry, because Starlight's had all these things falling from the sky today. All this stuff, pollen stuff, I think. But anyway, besides stuff falling from the sky, is thank you to all of you who have been there from the beginning and all the way now. And you know, there's many times you gotta slow down and smell the roses. So I know, push, you know, hurry, but we really need to slow down. And also, before I start this video, hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget the notification bell, and you can leave me a message down below, beep, and you can share my videos with your family, your friends. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. And also, if anyone would like, you can would love to send any love donations through my Cash App, you can, and I will have that information here. Ping! And just in case, those of you that might not know this, because Starlight really was ignorant to a lot of these things, is that a Cash App is a way that people can actually send me a love donation, and that is something that you'd have to download yourself as Cash App, and that way then you could send money from your card to the Cash App and then send it to Starlight if anyone would like. And also, today's video here is today is, are you showing up to your life? You know, are you showing up to your life? And I'll tell you what, because, well, coming from New York, is that, you know, we go through these seasons, you know, in New York, and from fall to winter, it's, you know, like hibernation time. That's what Starlight, hey, this is my time, like the bears to hibernate and all these other animals to hibernate. You know, it's time to actually, to me also, I've always thought of this is because it's snowing, kind of as a way of purifying, you know, not just, it looks so beautiful in the winter time is seeing the ground covered with snow. Maybe not so much fun driving in it and shoveling it, but it looks beautiful. You know, so it's like a time of year to kind of, you know, go within. And then we get spring, you know, and this is when people kind of move, you know, and really they got so many things to do at their house, you know, the kids, if you have kids, the grandkids, if you have grandkids. And I do gotta say, if you are a grandparent and you spend quality time, my situation, I'm in a situation where one grandson I haven't even seen, but sometimes it's out of my control. And my other grandson, you know, I do visit them, you know, when I can, but this is because I'm on a mission with God, so my situation is totally different. Believe me, if I could spend all the extra time with my kids, I would, but this is what the God, the universe, or whatever, has me to be doing right now. But it's so important to slow down and really, you know, because the days just go flying off the calendar, you know, and it's hard to keep up with, you know, what day is it, you know, what month are we in? And I just noticed something today. There's somebody that I don't really know, but, you know, I was out at a park, and that person was doing their thing, I was doing my thing, and you know, I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I did let this person know is that And a lot of parents, some parents do this, some parents don't. And I'm just inspiring you is to please, slow down. And your kids need you, your grandkids need you. And like I said, my situation is totally different than most people because of where I am, doing what I am doing. But, what was amazing is that there's a man that, he's not with the mommy, so he has his daughter, and he brings her to the baseball game to play baseball. And you know what? He stayed there the whole time. He stayed there the whole time. So I had to actually let him know, hey, that's awesome that you're doing that. Because you know what? Sometimes parents start off, depending on what sports they're in, they start off maybe being there, supporting, and after a while, the kids just get dropped off, and then, the child's there, doing their sports, doing their practice, and nobody's there loving and supporting them when they're doing that. And I have to say, when I was growing up, I really didn't go to anything. I did try to join things when I was growing up. It just wasn't working for me. I didn't have confidence in me, coming from the school that I came from and the class and the home that I came from. But I have to say, my brother, it really disappointed my brother when, he did join a lot of things, but mom and dad was never there. And so it's a sad thing to know that, and how, even when you children do things in the school, and they might invite the family at nighttime for like a concert or a play or this or that or whatever, and when the parents don't show up, when they have a way to show up and they don't show up, and that is, just like showing up to your own life, you really want to show up to your kids' lives, and be there and love them and support them. I'll tell you what, because if you're not there loving and supporting them, this is what you got to be careful. There's other people. If you're not there, letting them know that you are there. Like that man there, he wasn't on his cell phone, the whole time, just, kind of like Shadow Man, like in baseball. Is that baseball? Because Starlight doesn't know. He was actually physically there. He wasn't like talking to his friends, or anything like that. He was actually there watching his daughter, even though, I don't know how I don't really know nothing about the situation, but it was amazing that he sat there the whole time watching his daughter practice playing baseball. The daughter can never say that he was never there, because he was there and he was fully there. He wasn't just like, like she's playing a game, because this happens to many of the kids. People might show up, but they're not even watching the game. They're talking to their friends. This happens at playgrounds too with little kids. I've witnessed it so much. This happened yesterday. It is a beautiful small park, but there's a lot of people that go in and out, cars all over. I was going to go to the bathroom, and a little girl was in the bathroom. She came out of the bathroom, and she was a little scared. It's a distance. It's too long of a distance. The cars are right near the bathroom. She didn't know me. When she got out, she was a little nervous. She's like, I don't know where my grandpa and some other relative, I don't know where they are, because she's, they just like, hey, yeah, the bathroom's that way, We, parents need to be there for their kids. That little girl didn't know me, It doesn't take much. People are so distracted and in their headspace, or on I don't know, there's people, I've seen older folks now playing video games on their cell phones. So this is all strange to Starlight. I don't like video games, period. I used to watch them, but I ain't got time for that. I got to work on my life, work on things that I'm supposed to be working on. But there's even, there's people that get so, they're not even coming to their own life. They're not even, focusing on what's going on in their life. Before you know it, you're 25 and now you're 60 and you don't even know where it went, and your kids, they need mommy and dad or grandpa, and then today I witnessed a grandpa. He didn't look like no grandpa, but he's with his grandson, and he got talking with me because I was on a bike trail, and he was talking because he wants to take the trainer wheels off on his grandson because he wants to be there. He wants to have this go down in history as far as like, hey, my grandpa taught me how to ride a bike. Isn't that amazing? I meet a lot of beautiful people. I say, if you're on a bike trail and I'm walking through, I'm going to say hi or smile or whatever. But you know what? People are not even, so many people, I say beautiful comments and they got earpieces in their ears. They missed out on a beautiful comment, a beautiful smile. People are not even showing up to their own life. And it's great that this man wants to be there. He wants to, hey, my grandpa taught me how to ride a bike. So I was giving him tips. I didn't know how those trainer wheels were made on that bike, because, it does take, there's tricks to that, getting kids to ride their bike, and every kid is different. But he's being there. He's showing up to his grandson's life. Just like the other guy, there's a lot of people, they get their kids to join up sports, or their kids are interested in sports. And that's why I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have to go to those things because I was there all the time, especially when I was able to be a stay-at-home mom. It was I loved that time, even though other things were not great, but spending time with my kids 24/7. I know I hear some of you screaming, what, Starlight, 24/7? But that's why, isn't that why you wanted to be parents, is to bring them up so you spend time with them. It's no different than relationships. People are not showing up even to, in their own life, and they're not even showing up in their relationships that they have. Is that, it's sad when you go down a bike trail and you got a couple that are walking down this bike trail and they're on their phone, or they're not even talking to each other. Why? You got to show up to your life. It's time to, those of you that are there for your kids, are there for your grandkids because you're not in Starlight's situation. Good for you. Good for you. Those kids need it. Even if things that you weren't really 100% doing the right things with your kids, this is a time that you can do it with your grandkids, show them, because I'll tell you what, when I was a kid, I don't even know who's grandpa and grandma, even when my kids were, nobody, they didn't show up. Nobody showed up for my kids. I wasn't being taught as a young adult having kids what a grandparent was. Nobody was there. Nobody was showing up for my kids when they were growing up. So we need to be showing up for our own life, slowing down, and look at all the things that you're doing amazing. I want to focus on what you're doing right. And not that you're perfect, not that it has to go perfect, but give yourself credit, and we need to slow down. Really, we need to slow down, and because really the days on the calendar, it's hard to keep up with what month is it? What day is it? Is it the beginning of the month? Is it the end of the month? Where are we? You know? And people get so busy, springtime, then summer, you know? You gotta slow down, enjoy you, and give yourself a pat on the back for, you know, all the things that you're doing. It's so easy to look at the flaws and look at what we haven't completed, but give yourself a pat on the back for all the things that you're doing good, you know? And if you are that parent that's out there showing up, good. You know, just like I was amazed. I was like, wow, you know, I really don't know this man at all. But you know what? He needed to hear that, hey, you're showing up. You're showing up to your daughter's life. Because my brother used to get really upset with my parents that they didn't show up. And I have to say, my brother, when he had his kids, his daughter, when she went into soccer, guess what? He was there because he knew what it was like. See, it was a lesson. It was a lesson for him. You know, she was active and really did amazing in sports and soccer. Not only he showed up, he participated in what was going on. So a lot of times that's what it is. It's lessons, you know, that people have to learn. But you want to show up to your own life. You want to, you know, take a break, sit back and look at what you're doing. You know, it's so easy to just keep on plowing through, and we need to slow down. Parents need to slow down and, you know, really be there for your kids, because if you're not, somebody else will be, and they might not have the right intentions for your kids, because kids, you know what, they are sensitive, more sensitive than, you know, you might realize, and they need attention. And if you're not there, you know, I tell you what, I've seen some crazy stuff going on at libraries. People, you know, oh yeah, they're going at the library, but who's watching the kids at the library? I've witnessed stuff in the library. This man, you know, they will. These kids, they want attention. They need you to show up, because if you aren't, somebody else is gonna. And like I witnessed stuff in the library before, and I'm like, oh my, you know, she's a beautiful girl, and I could tell that she's going through a hard time with her voice and what she was saying, and this man was showing up. You know, they're sly. You know, they will just slowly kind of, you know, show up and give them all the attention that they need and talk to them about things and all that stuff. That's what mom and dad are there for. You know, that's what grandpa and grandma are there for, is to be there, because there's other people out there. You know, they're waiting for parents out there to just drop them off somewhere. And like that little girl, she didn't know how, you know, where's, you know, I don't know where my grandpa is, you know. So I said, you know what, I'll walk you over there, you know. She's like, he's at the playground. But she was afraid. There's people all over. So I did. I just kind of walked slowly behind. I didn't want anybody thinking I was up to no good with that little girl. But that little girl was like 6 years old. Where's Grandpa? He wasn't showing up to his life or hers. So we really got to be careful, because I'll tell you what, those kids, they need attention, and you need to be pay attention, listen to them, communicate with them, you know, get them to open up, talk to them, ask them questions, get them to ask questions, act like you're interested, you know, instead of showing up and not even paying attention to, you know, you drop them off there, you're there with them, but they will know, you know, they're going to look for you as they're playing, like, hey, are they watching me? I got the bat in my hand. Are they there? Oh, they're on the cell phone. They're not even watching me. So you got to show up to your life, to your kids' lives, and your you know, whoever you're in a relationship. Are you showing up? You know, so it is. That's what's gonna really make relationships stronger, is by people really, especially like the little kids, you want to let them know, hey, and take pictures and, show them that you could take a break from all the devices and just say, you know what, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm focused on my son or daughter's game right here. This is why I came here. Because you might not think it matters, it does. Because, they, when they at certain ages, they are sensitive. They get, they start dating, going out at a young age. These days, it's way younger than when I was, girls and boys are already starting to go out with each other. How young now? So you definitely want to make sure that they know that you're showing up, not just to their lives, but your own. So I really, and give yourself credit if you're that parent out there that has shown up to your life and shown up to your kids. Say, you know what, I'm doing better than I think. And if you're a person out there that's really not showing up, that's where you could say, okay, I can work on this. Because you know what? When you have kids, this is the time you can work on it, because you don't get a second chance at this. That's it. When they're grown up, they're out of the house and they're gone, So anyway, I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.